everyone. It is Flip Table Collective founders Christy Love and Holly Madden, and we are going to be giving you a tour of the Flip Table Collective website. So if you are watching this video, then chances are you are new to Flip Table Collective, and using this video hopefully to kind of help orientate you to the website, help you know all of the things that are available, where to find them, how to access them. But first and foremost, before we dive into that, we just want to give you a word of welcome. We are so glad that you are here. We are so glad that you have chosen to connect with this community that's really striving to bring change, healing, and justice to and through communities of faith. Holly, do you want to take a minute and welcome everybody?
Yeah, we are just so excited to get to engage with you and just hope that these resources provide you support. They provide you some access to your own healing, and excited to engage with you across multiple levels. So
Absolutely. All right, well, let me screen share and we're going to walk you through the Flip Table Collective. All right, so you are on our homepage, the Flip Table Collective. Holly, I know one of the things that you're really passionate about is making sure that everyone kind of knows and understands the significance of our logo. Do you want to talk about that for just a second?
yeah, when we first sat down and started talking about Flip Table Collective, we were really had already felt a deep connection to the story of Jesus flipping tables. We had named our podcast, which was kind of the launching board to this organization, the Flip Table Theology Podcast, and so we really resonated with that concept of the table. But so much of this work is embedded in this processing of deconstruction, of reconnection, rebuilding. And in deconstructing, it was really important that we not only communicated that in words, but also in the visualization of this logo. So if you look at our logo up at the top of the screen, the little green is kind of symbolic of a table that has been flipped upside down. And part of the heart of deconstruction has been encouraging and empowering deconstruction that not only flips the table, but it goes back to deconstruct the table. And when you deconstruct a table that is made of wood, you deconstruct that table all the way back down to the beautiful, extraordinary tree that wood was taken from. And trees, they are the lifeline of our earth. They're often called the forest, our rainforests are called the lungs of our planet. Trees provide us with clean air, with oxygen. They have so many beautiful healing properties. They provide home and habitat and shelter for millions of species of animals. And there's so much friendship and kinship within trees. And what trees do is that they create nutrient rich soil. And in that nutrient rich soil, if you continue to deconstruct the tree, you find where trees start at, which is in the seeds that start embedded deep into the womb of the soil in that dark fungi filled soil. And so really that's the heart of what we want to empower you to do, empower people that engage with our organization to do, is to be willing and brave enough to deconstruct down to that very core set of beliefs. And then those pieces, when you find at the core of deconstruction, are those things that you hold so closely. And then in the regrowth and rebuilding, something new and beautiful forms. It was also really important. I know we talk a lot about gathering, and I think the symbolism of the circle often is that gathering symbol, which is really beautiful. But what looks like the sun and kind of this rainbow on our logo is also a very outspoken passion of ours to be very affirming and to affirm all people. And so that was a lot of the imagery in this very beautiful and earthy logo that we created that I obviously have so much passion for.
Absolutely. So let me talk really quickly about our mission and vision statement. So you can kind of see right there at the top that our mission is to seek to bring healing, change, and justice to and through communities of faith. But that's actually only part of our mission and vision statement. So if you want to read the full thing, you can click on this button and it's going to take you to the expanded statement that you can kind of explore and process together. So we're going to scroll down this page, but before we do that, I want to show you one thing that's really important. So if you ever need to reference this particular video again, if you click right here on the About Us and you hover over that, at the very bottom, you'll find the website tour video. So that's a good way to know you can always come back and find this resource. If you hear us talk about something and then later you can't figure out where you found that, that's always going to be accessible right there under the About Us. menu drop down. So let's scroll down through this page and we're going to kind of explore a few different things together. So one of the big things that you will notice on our homepage is the home of our Flip Table Theology podcast. This is a podcast that Holly, myself, our friend Rue Lowen also co-hosts with us. And then we invite multiple guests to come and discuss issues of deconstruction, justice, religious trauma, and faith together. So if we click on this button right here to explore the podcast, some of the things that you will find are ways that you can follow us on streaming platforms where you'll be notified of every new issue or every new episode. Sorry. You can also learn a little bit about our hosts. You can see the most recent conversation. So this gets updated every week, which is an easy way to kind of keep track of what's the latest conversation. We also want to invite you to consider connecting with us in conversation through our Facebook group. This is a private Facebook group. We kind of joke that it's a little bit like Vegas. So what's said there stays there. But this is a space for us to talk about episodes, to process things together, also to talk about other issues related to deconstruction, religious trauma, faith, and those kind of components. So we love that group and we invite you to be part of it. And then we also have broken down our podcast by topics. And so, Holly, will you talk a little bit about how this can be a really accessible tool that individuals can use to kind of explore the podcast in this thematic kind of way?
Yeah, it's really important to us because we talk about so much on this podcast, and there's so much embedded in social justice and deconstruction, and some very practical tools as well, and perspectives. And so we've broken them down by topic. So if you click on a topic, so if you're in a space where maybe you're looking for a resource, or you personally are just very curious about a subject. So we have like episodes about nature, so connection to the natural world, ecotheology, environmental justice. We have 3 of those linked currently, and those are podcasts where that has been a primary theme of the podcast. Many of these themes are going to be interwoven in a lot of conversations, but this is kind of that podcast that has a lot of that conversation. So there are there's this one I think that Christy's showing us a social issue. We've had topics around deconstruction, foster care, mental health, and this list will obviously grow as we have more and more of those conversations. But it's helpful because we recognize that our podcast can both be for personal growth and connection. Also, it can be used as a tool and a resource. So if you're looking for this as a resource, maybe to share with your community or your congregation, or you're looking for it for research purposes, this hopefully helps you organize that a little bit better to be able to access those specific episodes.
Absolutely. And then you can also just see all of our past episodes that are in chronological order. So the newest episode will always be at the top. If you want to go back and you're new to Flip Table Theology and you want to catch up on previous episodes, this is a great way to just find them all. So that is where you can find the home of our podcast. We go back to the homepage and we scroll down and we see where it says there are many ways to connect with the Flip Table Collective. And so there are 6 different boxes here. And I want to kind of briefly talk about each of these boxes. So let's start at the top, Holly, and we'll kind of work our way across these boxes. So our collections are something where we really believe firmly in the importance of lifting up other voices and the work of other individuals. And so one of the things that we sought to do was to create collections that allow us to share those kind of things really easily and kind of centralize those things into a home. So let's look at our recommendation collections first. This is one that gets updated all the time as new books come out, new shows come out, new podcasts launch. And so one of the things that was really important to us is that we are kind of helping to screen and share some really fantastic, safe, great progressive resources. So if you click on book recommendations, you are going to find drop-down menus where you can literally just click on that and it's going to give you a list of books. Each of these books are linked to their listing on Amazon just for ease, but we're big proponents of local bookstores. So we really encourage you that if at all possible and you can shop local to do that, but they are all connected to Amazon just to make it easy for everyone. So you can kind of explore these books by topic as you just click on that expanded menu. It's going to show you each of those. And again, we're adding to these all the time.
I also think it's important to just note this is also a very collaborative resource. So if you're looking through that and you have recommendations, you can submit those recommendations to be included. So if you are yourself an author, you have books that you love, that you see a lot of value to being added, we really highly welcome that collaborative part.
Yeah, absolutely. Holly, will you talk for a second about your kids' resource recommendations that you put together?
Yes, I love this. So we've created some very specific recommended books that are topical mostly by social justice issues. We're really exploring books about faith, even for children and teenagers, and that has been a little bit more because our heart is definitely to include books that are more progressive and have a lot more of that affirming nature. But we really encourage and invite people that if maybe you're a parent and you're looking for books for your own kids, or someone you love is having a baby, or it's a birthday, or you're looking to increase your grow your library. Wherever that is, this is a really great resource of recommended books that honor those different topics, honor diversity, on are affirming. This is my favorite section right here, like grounding and regulation, and trying to help kids empower them to embrace their feelings and regulate in some of those different pieces. So yeah, they're a great resource for any kiddo in your world, and something we're really excited to get to share with you. And there's an identical one for the youth section that has books that are a little bit more relevant. And when we say teen resources, these are going to be a little bit more of those chapter books. So I recognize kids all read at different levels, but these are more of those chapter books for kids that are reading at those levels.
Absolutely. So you'll also notice on here that we have a list of streaming recommendations. So one of the things that's important to note is that we really wanted to find a way to identify media that really highlights progressive faith issues, deconstruction, the intersection of social justice and faith. So these can be both like original content movies or series. These can also be documentaries that are more academic in nature. And so what we've done here is we've actually broken them up by streaming platforms. So if you're looking for something to watch on Amazon, you can click on this and it's going to give you a list of movies, of shows, of documentaries that you can explore that are going to have some kind of an intersection with faith and progressive faith. So that's kind of our list of recommendations. Let's talk next about our article collection. So this is something that will get updated every single week. We send out a newsletter every Saturday that will just kind of give an overview and a list of updates that maybe have been made to recommendations, but that will also share our newest article collection. So if you click here, really what this is a way for us to aggregate headlines from literally around the world that have to do with the church, deconstruction, religious trauma, social justice, progressive faith. And so if you click on each of them, it's literally going to list for you from the oldest to the most current in that week any articles that were published around the globe that week that have to do with faith and these different issues. So this is a great way to kind of streamline your reading, staying on top of some of these issues. It's also a great research tool. When you come back over here, you can actually, in this left-hand side, you can search by different topics. Now, I will tell you when you do that, so if I search for Bible, it's going to bring up any of the weeks that have headlines related to Bible. So you may have to do a little bit of digging, but right here, there was an article from slate.com talking about how the Constitution is America's Bible. So kind of keep in mind that that's one way you can help to navigate this resource a little bit easier. Holly, do you want to talk a little bit about our liturgy collection?
Yeah, this one I'm also so excited to share. So we really value that there's a lot of purpose and intention behind using art and poetry and creativity in our services, or just engagement in our personal life. So this is a super collaborative effort as well. So if you click on the button to access the liturgy library, it's a giant Google Drive folder, also organized by topic. And in each topic, and we have social justice topics, we have seasonal topics, we have holidays. We're really working to develop this to even honor more traditional religious time periods. If you click on any of these specific folders, it gives you a variety of, and this is growing. This is going to be consistently growing, of prayers, of liturgy, of poetry, of spoken word. Our heart is very much for this to be a place where people can come to look for those creative elements. And these elements, they're elevating voices of people of color, elevating indigenous voices. We're elevating people with lived experience. We're elevating poets and liturgists that may not necessarily be published, or those that are published, and getting to affirm those really beautiful words that they have written that often connect us to emotion. They connect us to causes. They connect us to social justice. So this gives you a beautiful variety of content that maybe you can use in services, or you can even use in your own personal space if you're looking to engage with some of this kind of content. My favorite part about this is because it is so collaborative. When you go back to the website, you can actually submit, and you can submit work that's your own work. It could be published work or unpublished work. You can submit favorite poems or liturgies. I know we want to develop that and even have music and hymns involved in there at some point. So this is going to be an ever evolving library. But this is just really a place to embrace creativity and connect that creativity to some more of those traditional spaces that are often held for liturgy, held for emotional connection.
And then the last thing that you're going to find in our connections collection is this collection of different organizations that we encourage you to check out. These are not paid partnerships. These are simply organizations that we have found to be really helpful in our own work or the work of others that are engaged in the Flip Table Collective. So again, this is growing all the time as we connect with and get to learn about additional resources. So we just suggest that you constantly be checking these as places to maybe learn about new sources of information, training, events, and things that are upcoming. So we're back at the homepage again, and we're now going to look at the Learning Center, which is the second thing in this row of 6 different pieces and ways that you can connect with Flip Table. So if I click on Explore Our Learning Center, it's going to take us to 3 different ways that you can really navigate the Learning Center. So the first thing that we offer are certificate programs. So if we click here, you're going to see that at the time of this filming, we have 2 Flip Table certificates that will be live, and then we have 2 additional ones that will be launching in August. So if you're watching this video after August, you'll go here and notice that all 4 are live. But at the time of launch in June, we'll have 2 different certificate programs. And so the Ministry Innovation Certificate that I lead has 11 modules, which will really kind of challenge you to examine the health of your faith community, the growing edges of your faith community, places where innovation may be more easily accessible and creative than other spaces. It's also going to challenge you to do some community mapping and figuring out what the gaps and the needs are for your city. And then it's going to walk you through an innovation process where you're really challenged to kind of create some new forms of ministry in your context. Once you graduate that program, you're also eligible to join our Ministry Innovation Cohort, which is just an ongoing platform for communication, idea sharing, and support for those that are really embracing innovative ministry practices. Holly, you want to talk a little bit about the Child and Adolescent Trauma Certificate?
Yeah, so I got the privilege of putting together the Child and Adolescent Trauma Certificate. This stems from a lot of my work working with children vulnerable and at-risk places, both in poverty such situations inside of our Family Connection program, which is working with families in the foster care system. Our heart very much for this certificate is that this is designed to be accessible to anybody who works with children in any way, shape, or form. So this can be in both a faith setting or a non-faith setting. And that's really important. A lot of what we go over in the certificate is understanding the way the child and adolescent brain develops, the way they experience traumatic experience, ways to help heal, mitigate, and prevent trauma, and just ways that we can be better in our communities to support children, to be active in the role of working with children and empowering children as well, in understanding how they are in control of regulating their own bodies, how they are in control of some of their own advocacy and being really good stewards of that space. So I'm very honored to get to share that certificate and honored to get to share that in a variety of different spaces wherever. I mean, this could be for ministry leaders, this can be for teachers, this can be for parents, for foster parents, just a really great resource to be able to use in your work with kiddos.
Absolutely. And then the 2 certificates that will be coming this fall, we have a religious trauma certificate that's coming. And this is a program that I'm teaching. It's 24 modules. And so this is a pretty large certificate program, but we'll be looking at negative religious experiences. We'll be looking at religious trauma. What are the outcomes of religious trauma? What are some healing practices? We'll also look at historical religious trauma. We'll look at how that involves our public praxis and how do we change some of those public theology kind of practices. And then I'm also developing and will be launching a lay leadership certificate program, which really kind of focuses in on some of the basics that we need to be introduced to really equip lay leaders in faith communities. So this looks at things like trauma informed communication. It looks at boundaries. It's going to look at communication tools like the Enneagram. It's going to look at how do we identify skill sets and help to develop those. And so this is a program that we're also really excited about that we'll be launching in the fall. Okay, so the next aspect of our Learning Center are our quarterly classes. So let's take a look at those really quickly. So quarterly classes, you can access two different ways. So one way is you can engage and enroll in these classes live when they are open. And so when a live class is up, all of our classes are asynchronous. So that means you can do them and access them on your own timeline. All the videos are pre-recorded. The readings, the assignments are all loaded in there. So you can really do it in a way that works with your schedule. But live classes will have some discussion components to them that will be ongoing, engaging with other people that are enrolled that quarter. You'll also have some opportunities for some live Zooms with our instructor for those classes. Those are optional if you choose to engage in those, but it does give you just a little higher degree of involvement and engagement in those spaces. So you can choose to enroll in classes kind of one at a time and pay the enrollment fee for each class of $100. Or if you choose to, you can actually join our member resource library, which you'll see in this yellow button up here. We're going to go up there in a few minutes and look at a lot more at that. But once you become a member of the member resource library, all of our live classes are included in that membership, and all of our past classes are archived in the member resource library. So you can access any of the old classes that have already kind of expired on the live side, but you just won't be able to engage in the live discussion or the live Zoom conversations, obviously, though those will be recorded and uploaded as part of that class for you to access and to watch. So the first couple of classes that we're going to be offering this summer include public theology and pastoral care that I'll be teaching. And then Holly, you're teaching a class that I know you're incredibly excited about. Do you want to talk for just a second about this class?
Yeah, so I am thrilled to get to teach this class on nature and spirituality. This is a 12 module class where we get to walk through reconnection with the wild world, getting to deconstruct topics like on creation and spirituality and with a lot of conversations very adjacent to climate change and how we can be part of being better stewards of our world, and how our engagement with the wild world, it builds a beautiful connection that we have with the divine and with other people around the planet. It's very social justice based. So I'm very excited to get to share that. And very much I just want to share, like, there's a lot of pieces of this class that can honor wherever you are in your faith journey, whether faith is a very, you identify as a Christian or a believer, you're in a place of really experimenting with some of that spirituality piece. That's been really important to get to have the foundation of that class. So I always tell everybody right now, like, this is probably the most proud thing I am I've ever created. So I'm excited to share that with the world.
So then this fall, we'll be launching classes on homelessness and poverty in America and how faith communities intersect with those. I'll be teaching that class. Holly will be teaching a class on volunteer development and how to really engage relationally with volunteers in your programs. And then we'll be co-teaching a class together on theology and trauma. And so classes will always be listed here on our website. So you can see upcoming classes, you can see current classes. But again, if you want to engage with past classes, that's going to be through the member resource library. So let's go back and we're going to look at upcoming events. So upcoming events are done normally in the form of workshops that we do every month. And so these workshops are really designed to be very practical, very hands-on. So you can kind of see a list of the most current workshops all the time when you come to this page. So these are ones that are currently here, but anytime you come and check this out, you're going to see the new schedule that's going to continuously populate. And you can enroll in these as early as 6 to 9 months ahead of time. As soon as they're listed on the website, you can go ahead and save a seat for those. These are limited enrollment because of the fact we want them to be able to be engaging and conversational and have dialogue and some practical pieces that we'll walk through with people. So you'll want to make sure that you check here often. Also, our monthly and weekly newsletters will give you a good update on what's coming as future workshops to check out. All right. So once we then go back to the homepage, The next thing that we're going to look at is our research center. So, one of the big things that we're really big believers in here at Flip Table Collective is the importance of statistics and data to help shape the work that we're trying to do and help us understand kind of the landscape of religion and faith in America and around the globe. And how do we understand that so that we can better fill the gaps, meet the needs that are part of that. So, anytime that you come to the research library, it is going to show you our current research studies. So at the moment, we're doing a 3-year negative religious experiences study. We have a 1-year pastor's trauma study. We have our narrative project called the Dear Church Project, where individuals can actually submit a letter to the church. And this can be about how the church has been good and helpful and positive. It can also be about how the church has been harmful in different ways, so that we can kind of collect those stories and use those stories as teaching tools. And then also we have our congregational study. And this is where our staff works with one congregation a month, really on examining growing edges, specific challenges that you might have, and how we can create some ministry innovation in your particular faith community context. So you can always find those pieces in the Research Center. We go back to the homepage, and now we're going to go down to the second row and take a look. I'm actually going to go backwards on this row. And so we're going to look at our local community groups first. Holly, will you talk a little bit about Flip Table community groups and what they are and ways that people can get engaged?
So we're really excited to get to share community groups and launch this program, this kind of sub program of Flip Table Collective. So we understand and recognize how so many people find themselves in a place where they're craving community, and community that may have some of this like-minded space of spirituality, especially if you yourself are in a season of deconstruction. And so in honoring that and recognizing there's so much diversity in communities, you may be in a rural community, you may be in a super urban community. What we've created with community groups is the capacity for someone to say, I want to create a community that maybe honors this season of deconstruction, that becomes a safe felt space for people to come and process, to engage, to build some relationships. And so we provide some mentorship in that. We provide some resources, but it's very much independent. It allows you to get to create this community on your own in your group, and to build that in a way that's very unique to what the needs are in your community, the needs that maybe you see a desire to feel met. So we have a map on here. So it may be if you're in a community where there is some community groups, you could engage with those first and see if that's a good fit for you. And this just helps provide kind of this felt connection, whether that be an engagement space, yeah, that you're creating or that you're able to participate in. That's really important to that connection piece.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the homepage again. And again, Holly, will you talk to us about the Family Connection program?
Yeah, the Family Connection program, man, this is a huge program that I'm so honored gets to come with us to Flip Table. So, Christy and I, when we church planted, which is really the foundation of a lot of this work, was in that season of getting to church plant and work with a lot of hyper vulnerable communities. We created at the same time that our church launched the Family Connection program. This personally was for myself, was birthed out of a season of fostering where we saw a lot of huge gaps in our community. And so, in essence, what this program is it provides safe places for families that are inside of the foster care system who are working towards reunification. And so, these are families that are in the foster care system for those poverty related stressors. It provides a safe place for them using church and nonprofit buildings to have family visits, these parent child visits that are so important to their attachment, to their bonds, to their healing. And it activates the community by training community volunteers to serve as supervisors, and to do that in a highly relational manner. And so providing friendship and community for these families while they're in a time of high trauma and separation in their lives. When we first started this program, we thought it was just a program for our little church and our little community, and very quickly realized that the need is so massive across our nation, especially as there is a movement of system reform. And so we developed what we were doing into a training program. And so we provide extensive training for Family Connection site leaders. We provide that walks you through every phase of what it takes to launch a Family Connection site. We provide training for those volunteers. So every volunteer that comes on as a supervisor can engage in that same training. We have ongoing resources for those volunteers and site leaders, Zoom newsletters, and just a wealth of information and connection for them as they are engaging in this incredibly important work of reforming the way that faith communities engage with families in the foster care system.
Absolutely. So I really encourage you, visit this page and watch this video of Holly talking more in depth about this program, the impact that it's made, and the ways that you could potentially bring Flip Tables Family Connection program to your faith community. So this is where you're going to find that information. And then finally, let's talk about our resource library. So if you click here, it's going to kind of walk you through the benefits of being part of the member resource library. And then we're actually going to dive in and look at the member resource library. So we've already kind of talked a little bit about how you get access to classes. All of the classes become free once you're a member of the resource library. You get current classes and all of our past classes. You're also going to get access, as you'll see here in just a minute, to a lot of healing practices that we've put together. So we have a store that you'll get discounts to. So 25% off for all of our members on any of our Flip Table merchandise. We've got t-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of fun things. And all of the proceeds that we make from merchandise that we sell actually goes to help fund a scholarship fund that we've put in place to make Flip Table a little bit more accessible for individuals who maybe can't afford that member resource library fee of $300 for the year or $30 for the month. And that just helps to, again, lower those barriers for seminary students or bivocational pastors, for church planters, or faith communities that are small or struggling. We just want to be able to help do that. So we offer full and half price scholarships for our member resource library, as well as for our certificates and our classes. And that's all part of those who have given one-time gifts to Flip Table to contribute to that scholarship fund, and then our ongoing product sales in our merchandise store. The other things that you will see is you do get a discount as a Flip Table resource library member on all of our events and workshops. So you get 50% off of those events every single month. You get the full access to the resource library that we'll look at. And then you also get a discount on all of our certifications. So you get 50% off of all of the certificate programs as well. So let's take a look at that member resource library. Once you've set up your membership, you're going to click right here to access it. To become a member, you can also click right here and it's going to bring up the page to get signed up. So once we get into here, this is where you'll find all the classes. Okay, and it'll just give you access to those classes immediately where you can explore them. And then as we have past classes, you'll find them here at the bottom that'll be listed and archived. You also are going to be able right here to find all of your member discount codes. So all of those discounts that I just talked about, you can find all of the codes for those simply by exploring right here. So if you want to enroll in the member or the Ministry Innovation Certificate program, you're going to use this code right there to get 50% off of that. And so everything that we offer is right here, and you can find those codes really quickly and easily. You don't have to try to remember all of them. And then we've got our connection groups, and these are groups that meet virtually through the Band app. Holly, do you want to talk for just a second about the different groups that we have available for members?
Again, we recognize how isolating and how lonely community can be, especially if there are for certain life experiences, for seasons of deconstruction. And so we offer different virtual community groups that encourage community. They encourage idea sharing. They encourage a safe place to be able to process and express emotion. So those may be, we have one for a connection for members of the LGBTQIA community, and so that hopefully provides a place for just a connection, a place for that community, that belonging. We have other groups like the nature and spirituality one that I get to have some leadership on, which just offers a lot of different access to articles for that month around eco-theology and environmental justice, some different meditations and grounding exercises, some different prompts on how to, different pieces of how to bring in eco-theology and environmental justice conversations into faith settings. And so there's a lot of variety there, a lot of collaboration, a lot of community mindedness that will happen in those groups using an app that's very friendly and very easy to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also up here at the top, you'll notice that you can explore the entirety of our resource library through our resource index. So it's going to give you the list of how many resources have been loaded into there. We add new resources literally every single week. So this number will just constantly keep growing as Flip Table Collective continues to grow. And you'll be able to kind of scroll through here, see all of the things that are listed. You can click directly into them from here if you want to. Or you can choose to explore all of our resources this way. So our most current resources will populate on this homepage right here. So anytime you log in, you might just do a quick scroll and see what's new and what's been added since you were in here last time. But there's another really great way to navigate the resource library. It's probably my preferred method, and that is either through tracks or by searching. And so right here on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll notice that there's this little square that says track, sort, or search. And so if I click on this drop down under track, we have created tracks that are going to let you kind of navigate resources by topic. And so, for example, if you are hosting a book club at your church, you might want to click on the book discussion guide track. And it's going to take you through all of the different book discussions that are listed in our website. And so you can kind of explore those. They're going to walk you through different conversation topics for each chapter. They're a lot of times going to offer supplemental information or links to podcasts or documentaries that you might want to listen to or you might want to share with members of your book club. So then once you've looked at those, if you want to get out of those book discussion guides, you're going to click and close that. It's going to bring you back to the home page with everything else. So then you could choose another track if you wanted to. So for example, maybe you wanted to explore healing practices and look at all of these different conversations around self-care and yoga classes and art therapy practices that Holly's put into place. Holly, do you want to talk for a second about some of these healing practices?
Yeah, there was a really important conversation that we had around wanting to create a resource library organization that really provide a lot of tools and resources for you as a leader, for you to use in engagement and connections in other places. But we also wanted to make sure that we had a lot of support for you as a human being. And so our healing practices is designed for you. There is a lot of diversity in ways that you can access some of those healing practices. So we do yoga classes. That's a huge passion of mine, of connecting movement in the body to healing. We have art therapy prompts. So again, another passion of mine is being able to really encourage that creative process of the brain to be able to access healing, to be able to have that piece of expression. So those are very guided um, prompts of different art therapy processes. So this is not necessarily pursuing like licensure of a therapy, but it's these very beautiful, accessible ways of accessing that healing that comes through creativity. We also have a lot of different guided meditations, mindfulness, and grounding practices that you can use on yourself. You can use with children, with teenagers. So there's just a lot of different tools there that are just designed to be incredibly supportive for you and help you access your own healing and just remind you that you have permission to be able to engage in things that just take care of your nervous system and take care of your body and honor your own journey and the traumas that you yourself have experienced and walked
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to click on that X again and bring us back to the home page. And this time I'm going to use the search feature. And so I'm going to search for the word photos. And when I search for that word, it's going to bring up this resource, which is trauma informed picture taking guidelines. So this one is just a few things you might want to consider when it comes to taking pictures of individuals in your faith community or at events, and why this is an important way to think about things. It's going to give you some examples of some trauma informed pictures that we have used in our ministry in the past. You'll notice one of the big things is protecting identity and not showing faces, especially without permission or consent. And those, especially of children or vulnerable individuals. And we talk a little bit about that in this resource. And then you're also going to notice that at the bottom of every single flip table resource, there is this white box at the bottom that says trauma informed takeaway or trauma training takeaway. And really what the idea is that this is just going to kind of lift up a really important thing for you to ponder, consider, or a piece of just additional education around trauma for our faith leaders. Because a big piece of our heart here at Flip Table Collective is to increase the level of trauma awareness in our faith communities from coast to coast. So we make sure that every single resource is really kind of rooted in this trauma training takeaway that you can explore. So this one in particular talks about how pictures can be triggering and why. It can talk about the anxiety, the paranoia, domestic violence that may be incorporated, and how pictures can be really harmful in that way. And it talks about how consent is really critical and key in taking people's pictures. So that is kind of what the member resource library looks like. Holly, any thoughts from you? Also, I will say this, as you scroll up, if you're in an individual resource and you want to get back, you can always just go back up here and kind of click on these breadcrumbs and hit resource library, and it's going to bring you right back to the homepage.
Yeah, I will share that under each resource, under the title and the brief description, it does have the creator of that resource. And we are pulling from and building a team of content creators. And this is an ongoing project. And so that's something that we really value, is that elevating a lot of variety and diversity of voices. And so if you're new to Flip Table, this is a growing work. But every time it will link to their bio. So you have an opportunity to connect to that individual that created that resource. I know we have some different individuals who have provided a lot of different liturgies and poetry, and like our liturgy library. So on their bios, that will give a link to some of those resources. And so that's really important as you engage with these. That this is a collection, a collaboration of a lot of voices, experiences, passion points that are speaking into each and every single one of these resources.
So we hope that this is helpful. A couple of other things that I want to show you really quickly before we close out this video tour of Flip Table Collective is back up here at the top. You'll notice we do have those drop-down menus. We referenced that earlier when it came to the About Us video. So you can always access things here as well. So you don't have to go back through from the homepage and try to find everything. Our mission and vision statement is here, our team, and you can see all of our bios are here. If you want to kind of learn a little bit more about our staff, about our board, about our contributors, we've also got those all listed down here where you can see their index. And so we also then have this website tour video. All of our connection spots are right here. We talked a little bit about that store before, so you can click on that from that drop-down menu, and it's going to give you kind of this list of all of the different products that we've created that you can explore. Some of them you'll notice from our podcast, like our Freaking Capitalism shirt. Some of them are shirts that we've created around the themes of religious trauma and deconstruction. We do have a donate button on here. And again, like I mentioned before, anything that's donated to Flip Table Collective financially does go into our scholarship fund. So it really allows us to make Flip Table as accessible as possible for everyone. So that's really important. I just want you to be aware of that. And then lastly, I'm just going to show you, if we scroll down here to the very bottom where you can see the store, you'll also see we've got a newsletter sign up at the bottom of every page. I really encourage you and I invite you to sign up for our email newsletter. Like we said, we send out a weekly email on Saturdays. You'll also kind of get like once a month email that'll have a little bit different content in it. But this is a great way to stay on top of what are the latest resources that have been added to the library, what are the latest workshops that have been added to the calendar, what articles have been added, what products have been added into the store. And so we invite you to make sure that you subscribe to that email to stay connected to everything that you can. Any last thoughts from you, Holly?
No, I just really hope that as you're looking through this and exploring, that you find content, you find materials or classes or workshops that just really resonate and support you. If you also are looking through this and feel like you have things that you would like to add, please reach out to us, because we are expanding that content creator library constantly. And our heart is very much collaboration. And so we would love to partner with you in a variety of ways. But holy, like, so much of this work has come from this passion in both of us. To just provide resources that are trauma informed, that are accessible, that are healing in nature. And so we hope that that is your experience as you engage with Flip Table on a grander level.
Absolutely. We are so excited to have you here. We are excited to get to know you. We're excited to engage with you. Please let us know if you have any questions. If you get stuck in the website in some way and you just need some help navigating, feel free to reach out to us at support@fliptablecollective.com. We're happy to answer your questions. All right. Happy searching, happy digging. I hope you find great places to connect.